All right, here we go. The Matt Hodel podcast. Just kidding. It's not a podcast. It's like a YouTube video thing. So for fun, I was like just typing on Facebook and asked people what they wanted to. I used the word rant. It's probably the wrong word to use, but I said I have a YouTube video. I need to do a voiceover. What do you want me to rant about? I guess I didn't mean complain. I just was wondering what I should just babble about what I should have said. So I got about a 10-minute video here, and it's something I just did really quick yesterday to relax myself in the morning. And I walked outside and I saw this pumpkin that was rotting on my front step, and so here I am just sketching this little sad turd of a pumpkin as it wilts away into garbage and trash. But here, let's see, I had some winners. Some people, since it's election day, wanted me to talk about political issues, which I'm not ever going to talk about because I don't really feel like it. The best was talking about the difference between Austria and the States, which that's what I'm going to do, but my friend Atomic Trent, his name's Trent, he is Atomic. Anyway, he's a chopper builder. He's fucking rad as hell. And it inspired me to think, dude, I need to actually figure out how to make a phone call and talk to him and get it recorded and then put it on top of me drawing like some fucking awesome motorcycle, chopper fucking shindig. He is a really like-minded individual and just a hard worker and has his priorities aligned correctly. And so, yeah, I would love to catch up with Trent. Trent, if you're out there, this is whatever. I'm going to call you one day. We're going to figure out how to do this, and you can do the ranting because you're much better at it. Anyway, so to move on, I am just going to talk about the difference between Austria and the States. This is a place I've been going to since the 90s, and I didn't get to go for almost a decade. Well, yeah, for a decade I didn't get to go. Here I'm going to break away from my subject. If you notice in the drawing, I just draw really loosely and big circles and chord lines. I just drew a big chord line to follow the spine and a chord line to follow the shoulders, and off that chord line everything else is going to fall the same kind of way, the same kind of feel, the same kind of flow. And the big arrow on top, that's my reminder for where my light source is going to be. So as I'm drawing, I can remember well, this is actually going to be a heavy shadow. When I ink this in, it's actually going to be really black over here, so don't get too crazy. So, yeah, that's that. Anyway, the difference between Austria and America, for me, for working, is huge. And since I started tattooing in Austria in the 90s, and that was also the beginning of my tattooing, is in the 90s, it had a huge impact on how I viewed tattooing, how I viewed workflow, how I viewed work ethic, and the order of importance I put things. Now, my background is I was in a really busy street shop, Iron Age Studios in the 90s, and it was fucking nuts. We cranked out probably 10 tattoos a day, a piece, minimum. So that was like 40 to 50 tattoos going out the shop daily. It sounds like one of those stories of legend and lore, but it was I don't know if it's well oiled, but it was pretty much like wham bam, thank you ma'am, we got this down, and people were getting quality, quick, and efficient tattooing, and that's my starting point, was how do I get to the best without the bullshit. I ended up getting over to Austria because a friend of mine, Ed Madigan, met a guy named Michael, and Michael's from Vienna. Michael threw a tattoo convention every year in Vienna, and Ed was invited, and by proxy, Ed asked me, and I went, and a couple of us, Tom DePriest, Ed Madigan, Brad from Denver, Tony Olivas would go, and Mike Skyver and those guys, and we would do this Vienna convention every year, and it was a lot of fun. It was really eye-opening. To start with, the difference back then between American conventions and Vienna conventions or European conventions was the balance between participation in artists and the clients or the spectators, the people that are actually coming for the show. There was something for both people. It was in a huge room. There was a stage set up. All day long there was bands and acts and Enigma and at the time his girlfriend Katzen would be hanging out, and they would do their weirdo fucking shit, whatever they did. I don't know. They like would jam on a guitar and he'd put shit tubes in his nose, and it's really bizarre. But I remember one time, I think it was Patty Kelly and Ed and Tom and maybe Tony. They sat on stage while some fucking dude hung from hooks, and they tattooed him. It was the weirdest, most bizarre kind of oddball thing. It was a lot of fun. I remember that. So again, like there was a lot of fun, participation, audience watching. There was, usually decent music playing, and it just didn't feel like left-sided, like this is an artist show, you're lucky to be here and watch us work, or this is a spectator show and the artists are second next to the midget tossing and the fat lady. It was, I've done both of those. In Brazil, I did a show where it was basically a music concert, and they happened to have tattooing, but they sold it as a tattoo convention. And I've done other ones where, it would have almost been better. It would almost been better to not have open to the public. If it was so geared to the artist, it would have been cooler just to hang out with my friends all weekend long. But that being said, Europe's always had a lot more balance in that way. And as I'm getting older and thinking about work ethic and workflow and looking at it from a span of almost 20 years in the industry, it's what's ingrained in us as a society, or as where you're locally grown up and raised, and you're never on the outside. You're a part of it. So when you're here and on election day, or which is today, or whatever, and you say, well, those people, they do this, and those people, they do that. Well, if you're talking about the people in your immediate area, that you're a part of that. There's no excluding you. So you don't know it, but you still think similarly than the people around you, because it's just, you're all brought up with the same influences. That being said, you really see how much more consumerism ideology we have in the States as opposed to what I found, and this is just me, what I found in Austria. And it's the little things. I was just talking to my friend Brad over at Inkwell about this yesterday, so that's why this is an easy topic to talk about for me. And I was using the example that in the States, we are kind of like really into buying cool shit and associating ourselves with that cool shit. And to say that we're not, I haven't really met too many people that are really off the map or off the grid as far as that goes. Like, so even if you're the guy that buys the Corvette and drives around and wants people to just see him associated with someone who can afford a Corvette, or someone who associates a Corvette with America and speed or whatever, muscle car, I guess. I don't know if it's really performance car, I guess would be what it would be. You look at that guy and you go, oh, look at that show off. Well, I don't know if it's much different than buying a Prius and putting Obama stickers on it and green stickers and, breastfeeding stickers and all that other shit, and going, well, look at me, I'm this, and just it's really like, look what I bought, look who I am, and so it's funny, like even when we are acting like we're not consumers, we're consumers, at least I don't buy the car you bought, and so that's just something I'm pointing out as like a parable or a framework to what I'm trying to set up here. And the difference is that what I noticed in Austria was you still had those people, but there was less of them, and it was more the outlook that I saw was, if you did go buy the Corvette, you were kind of flashy and not really appealing. It wasn't something that everyone strived for. Not everyone needed the extras in life over there. It was almost weird. It was almost like I felt like if you were being too flashy, you were kind of a show off. Like if you had 27 pairs of shoes and bragged about it, it was just kind of like, really, dude, you have 27 pairs of shoes for 2 feet. I mean, officially there's not enough, days in the month to really wear all those shoes, because Well, I guess there is. I guess you could buy 4 more pairs of shoes and you'd be at 30. But you know what I mean. So I'm gonna take a sip of coffee here. You can hear me slurp. Anyway, so that kind of sets up this attitude of like the different way we think, and it boils down to how we approach tattooing. And tattooing in America, I mean, we are the country. Here we go. I'm going to start inking this little guy in. I've got the basic drawing done. We are a country that we took tattooing, which was a rite of passage in almost every historical other culture, and turned it into a business for profit. It's, you know, you take the Maoris, and they had their rituals, in other Pacific islands that had their rituals, Indians that had their rituals, and it was like you accomplish something, and whether it's just a coming to age or whether it's a first hunt or whatever, and you got kind of like, wow, look what I've done with my life. I'm going to wear it on my body, and everyone kind of gathered around you, I guess, and said, you know, attaboy, way to go. In the States, you know, we kind of said, oh, good, you're a sailor. You have too much fucking money. What you really need to do is give me some of that money and I'll give you a tattoo. And we had these tattoo shops that would follow port to port, you know. Wherever the ships were docking, a guy had just enough equipment to set up in a tiniest closet and get a line wrapped around the block, and he was fucking wham bam, thank you ma'am, high rolling type of dude. And it, not that it's good or bad, but that's a difference when you take tattooing and the whole mentality is set up to how many tattoos can I get done as quickly as possible and be as efficient as possible to make the most bang for my buck. And the idea was that, you know, the next ship might not come in for 2 to 4 weeks or 2 months or whatever. And so you got to make the most out of these guys and figure out the psychology of how do I get as many of them tattooed as possible. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I'm not from Europe, so obviously I don't really know the exact history of Europe. I mean, I hear bits and pieces and whatnot, and they had similar experiences with ports and whatnot. But I think because the culture doesn't feel as consumerish to me, I don't think that they had it. I just don't feel it in today's work that was the seed that was planted of try to do as many fucking tattoos as possible. And one of the things I noticed when I first started leaving the States, I tattooed in Brazil, I tattooed in Europe, I tattooed in Japan, was going from a shop where we were trying to get as many people tattooed as possible that day, and you'd go to another shop and they'd book 2 things for you. And it took me an hour to do 2 tattoos or 2 hours to do 2 tattoos, and I was done for the day. And I was like, wow, what do I do now with all my time? I could have, and I'm watching everyone else. And I remember thinking when I was younger, like, how fucking slow are these people that they only do 2 tattoos a day? But what I didn't get was, why am I tattooing people so damn fast when this is so damn permanent? Why can't I just slow down and make sure that I'm doing it right? Or why am I speeding through this process, which is so permanent? And, you know, a lot of those things, working with Max, you know, when I started going to Europe and I did the convention, I met Max through Sean Vasquez. Sean Vasquez is another American who worked in New York. He ended up living in Europe, and he was working with Max. And he said, hey, man, if you're going to be coming over here, you should come hang out with me and Max in Bad Ischl, Austria, which is a little mountain town. And I said, yeah, sounds good. I like mountains. And that first meeting with Max, it was like, this guy is like my Austrian, you know, doppelganger. I like this dude. And me and Max started working really well and seeing eye to eye together from the get-go. But, you know, he wasn't trying to do 42 tattoos in a week. He was trying to do, you know, a manageable amount, what he could handle. And the other crazy part was the shop didn't keep the same fucking crazy 60 hours, 70, 80 hours a week opening times. If I remember right, they were closed on Sunday and Monday. And the rest of the week, I mean, the shop was open from like 10 to 5. With the idea of doing about 2 tattoos a day, sometimes 3, but I really only remember doing like 2 tattoos a day. But we took our time, and I learned to take my time and kind of put a little bit more into the drawing and less into the actual production end of it. And the overall feeling was being more relaxed and feeling more connected with the person I was tattooing, and it made it even more. It was more, how do I say it? It was the dynamic. I'm using that word wrong, but not being able to speak German and them being able to speak a broken English or a passable English forced me to try to read them even more through body language, through what they did and say, through tension in their shoulders, whether they were agreeing with me or not agreeing with me. And so, that in the beginning, early days of tattooing really set how I approach things. I mean, I didn't shake right away. I didn't come back to the States and go, fuck walk-ins. I'm fucking sick of this. I didn't do that right away. But I did feel more tension, and what happened was when I got back to the States, something didn't feel right when someone had waited 3 hours on the bench, because that's how it works. You come into a street shop, you talk to the front person, they put you on a list. The tattoo artist is working, so you can't fucking talk to them. You wait 3 hours, they come out, they look on the thing, it says Panther or whatever. And they go, okay, Tom, you're next. You want a Panther? Yeah. Okay. And then Tom's like, dude, let me tell you what I want. And the guy kind of listens, but he's got 4 more people to tattoo behind you. So there's that tension. The guy's been waiting 3 hours. So there's that tension. And there's a settling that happens. Like, people would come up with ideas that were a little bit more dynamic, or dramatic, or whatever the word is I'm looking for. And in reality, it needed more time to work out the problem solving of how to draw it, how to execute it, how to figure out how to tell the story through a picture. But you didn't have that luxury, because you don't let someone sit for 3 hours, promise them that they're going to get tattooed that day, and then say, you know what, man, to do this right, you should come back. It was like, okay, let me go in the back room and see if I can make magic happen, And I did that time and time again, but I always felt like, God, if I had more time, I could have really expressed what this person was trying to say. It's like trying to explain something that's on the tip of your tongue. Trying to impress somebody for the first time, and you can't remember the words that you want to say, or can articulate things correctly. You get the general idea, but you just realize it could be so much more than what it is. And so for years in the States, I came back and I worked like that, and I didn't feel comfortable. It wasn't until I got to I was in Austria in January of a couple 10, 12 years ago, and I was set up I was going to stay there. I was done with the States. I felt more comfortable working in Austria, working with Max. And I came home, and next thing you know, I'm going to be a dad. So going to Austria wasn't really in the mix. We settled in New Mexico, and that was really the closest place that felt laid back like Europe. I mean, as far as laid back goes, the way things worked in New Mexico, someone would come in and be like, hey, I want to get tattooed. Okay, cool. What do you want to get? And they'd say, I don't know, Jesus head. And you say, okay, cool. When do you want to get it? And they'd say, I don't know, like in 2 weeks from Thursday. And you'd say, yeah, cool. That was nice and laid back. And they showed back up on Thursday 9 times out of 10. And it was just gentle. There was not that tension, and that probably has a lot to do with the culture being more Hispanic and being more their days with it's just I don't know, that's a whole nother topic, but it's the same kind of laid back feel. It's not so American, go get it, go, first one's the winner and first one's only, second place is for losers, type shit, and so I did enjoy New Mexico a lot, because that was the closest I could get. But, eventually I had to move back to St. Louis, and I just was not ready to be back in a street shop. And so that was the pursuit of how do I obtain this, like more 100% appointment only style of working. So getting a little bit back to the subject of what that means and what the difference between Austria and the States is like, because this is my reference that I'm using is how would Max do things, and Europe, the difference between the client in Europe for me and the client in America is the difference of what they put the importance on, where in the States, people tend to put a lot of importance on the image and less on the idea. And it's flip-flopped. In Europe, I feel that the clients over there put a lot more on the idea and less on the image. And this is what I mean by that is in the beginning. They're brainstorming, I'm ready to get tattooed, what they're bringing to you. So what the European client will bring to you is more of an idea with an image associated with that idea. It's a jumping off point. It's a beginning. In the States, people tend to bring you an image, and then you've got to talk to them about the idea. And like, I don't think this is going to mean what you think it's going to mean, homie. Now, why is that? Why do Americans or Western ideas, like why is it that they've got to find the they scour hours and hours and hours on Google, and they type in bad keyword searches like firefighter tattoo tough, and and everyone knows if you Google that, most firefighter tattoos don't look tough on the internet. They look poorly rendered, and once you've seen one, you've seen them all on the internet. If that same client were to say, "Look, man, I've looked at a bunch of images. What can you do? Because I'm not really seeing what I like." But instead, what happens is they just stare at them so fucking long, and their nervousness takes over, and in the nervousness they tend to like overthink little details of how exactly it's gonna go down, and then when they finally come to get tattooed, a lot of times you feel like changing their idea is like crushing them, You're like, man, this isn't going to work, homie. And they're like, well, what do you mean it's not going to work? Because I see it right here. Someone else got it done, and that's what I want. So they're not really putting the trust into you as much as they're putting the trust into the image. So in Europe, like when I go over and tattoo with Max at Tattoos to the Max in Bad Ischl, Austria, his shop will have, one or two customers set up a day, and there'll just be like a printed out folded piece of paper with a couple of notes on it, maybe where on the body it's going to be. When the person shows up, I say, "Oh, cool. I see this picture. Now, why were you getting this again?" And they would kind of tell me they were into music, or they were into this, or they were into that. And that's, they like this, heart with wings, or they like this, whatever. One was like someone literally had a printout of a Gibson guitar, and I said, "Cool. Now, what do you want out of this?" He's like, I want wings and fire, like heaven and hell. And yeah, okay, so let me draw that for you. Let me render a tattoo that's that idea, and we'll come up with the image together, And so that's what I did, where in the States, man, I feel that if someone printed out a guitar, budging from that is so damn scary for them. They're like, "I don't know, man. I've been carrying this around for a long time. I've already showed everyone I work with this picture. I've shown my wife this picture. Don't really want to vary from the plan too much. Can you just do this? Because this is just enough that I'm here. This is so goddamn scary for me." Now, in a street shop situation, the guy's been waiting 3 hours. What are you going to do? His comfort level at that moment is that picture. Talking him into something else that he would like even more just doesn't have the time to figure it out. It's not going to happen. So for me, the way I work is everything's a consultation. Even little things are consultation, because nothing's ever just a simple small tattoo. It's if I can just, I guess this is how I solved the problem, and how I dealt with the American mindset, or you know, of being, I guess the American mindset is, I need to digest it and feel comfortable with it. I need a minute. Just give me a minute to be okay with this, you know? And so by doing a consultation and telling a guy like, look, man, your guitar idea, it's a good idea, but check it out, kid. This picture right here is stupid. You know, obviously I only say that some of the times, but you know, I tell him, like, here is what would be fucking cool. Based on everything you just told me, based on everything you just said, I think that you want it to be tough, yet you're into rock and roll, yet you don't want any devil shit on you, and we went through all the variables, and here's what I think you should get, you know? And maybe right away they're not hip to it, but because their appointments, you know, 2 months, 3 months away, they have a chance to at least listen to what I say, go home, keep looking into some of the ideas I've planted, and find their own version of what I've just said. Like, you know, well, based on what Matt said, I kind of get it now. I know how to kind of lay something out. I know what I'm looking for. I know where to look. And they can come back to me and counter it with, man, I heard what you said, but check it out. What if we did it like this, you know? And yeah, that sounds good. Anything but just this image. Let's find the idea, and then we'll make the image. That was very general how I just put that. I hope that makes sense. But that's what I enjoy about tattooing, is connecting with people and being, you know, more of a shaman, more of a, like, let me listen to you, and I will help you get to where you need to be. You know, like, just use me as a sounding board, and I can help you see the picture from the outside. You know, this shit is forever. It is scary. You know, getting back to Europe, all work aside, what do I like about it? I like the same facts that it's not so go, gimme, yeah, yes. It's like, dude, try to go get a pack of cigarettes. Not that I smoke, but, you know, last time I was in Europe, I was with a friend that smokes, and try to go get a pack of cigarettes on a Sunday. Tough shit. You ain't gonna fucking get it, you know? We're in a small town. Everything's closed. They're not gonna, you know, you don't see, not that they have Thanksgiving over there, but name a holiday, and you don't see people going, oh, you know what? It's a real good day to make money. I better leave my fucking kids at home and go up and try to make some money, because you never know. You never know when you're gonna be broke. You never know. You know, they don't have that, like, that fear, that, like, you know, watch, we have Thanksgiving coming up. Dude, I bet you can, on Thanksgiving, buy a fucking gun, a generator, get a fucking family portrait done, and probably go buy a sofa and put a down payment on a car all in the same goddamn day, because of how consumer we are, you know? Where in Europe, I mean, just give it a Monday at 1:30 in the afternoon, and you're probably going to have a hard time just finding an extension cord, because the electronics shops close for lunch, you know? And in the States, we'd be like, who closes? Don't they know I need this right now? I mean, and if you think about, like, stores and what we have access to of just going and driving down the road to get, I mean, there's probably, like, you have Christmas morning, you have New Year's morning, you have Thanksgiving morning. Let's say that's like 4 hours each day. And so it's 4 times 3. That's 12. That's probably 12 hours out of the year that you don't have access to going in and getting an extension cord right when you fucking need it. You know, that's unnecessary. That's so crazy to me. You know, but in Europe, it's a lot more laid back, and you just kind of roll with it. You know, and so you got to think ahead a little bit. You know, God forbid you go, hey, you know what? I'm going to be plugging in a fucking thing. I'm going to need an extension cord on Monday. Maybe Friday I should go fucking get one. You know. You know, you eating a meal, there is no, like, I never heard anyone go, God damn it, this is taking too long. You know, you here we go to Chili's, and what do we give the guy? I mean, I know I'm guilty of it. You give the guy like 12 minutes, and your food's not out yet, and you're like, oh, you son of a bitch, where's my food at? You know, don't you know I really want these fajitas? How long does it take to make a goddamn fajita? You know, I mean, like, that's really silly. Like, We stare at our phones. I'm guilty of it. Not that they don't do it in Europe, but this is a typical meal in the States. You sit down, you go, man, someone brings you some water, and you get a menu, and you put an order in, and this all happens. We want this to happen within 8 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. And then you order, you say a couple things to the 4 people you're with, and then everyone starts staring at their phones, and then next thing you know, someone's complaining about actually how long it's taken to get their food. So keep staring at the phones, blah, blah, blah. And the average meal, I think, and I think the restaurants here even, I did work in the industry. I think we had like on a busy lunch, you wanted a table turnaround time of like 25 minutes. The longer someone's sitting at that table, the less money everyone's making. Where in Europe, I mean, you might sit for 20 minutes just before someone comes around and asks if you want a menu. The idea of just sitting there and hanging out with your friends for a minute and talking about the day, and that's. When I get back over to Europe, that's one of the weird adjustments, is just waiting for food during the meal. There is no like rushing out to get dinner. There is just, let's go to dinner, and it might take an hour and a half. It might take 2 hours. I don't know. You're going to get maybe like a pretzel or something to chew on, and then you're going to get a little appetizer, and then you're going to get your food, and then you're going to get a dessert, and maybe there's like a salad in between there. And so, you might even see your waiter 3 or 4 times, and he might not come over to you and kiss your ass. He might just be doing other things. And so that's a difference. There's the obvious differences that you hear about in Europe, like you don't need a car. You can take a train damn near anywhere. I think one of the funny things is like, in the States we isolate ourselves. We want to buy the big house, which probably ties into, look at me, what I first started talking about with the Corvette example. And then we have a backyard, and then the backyard's huge. So then, I was just talking about this with Brad, it's like, okay, now I got a backyard. Now I need a hot tub. Now I got a hot tub. Now I need a bigger deck. Now I got a bigger deck. I need, some fucking chandeliers and some lights, and, and everyone needs an outside pool table. And how about some lawn darts, and, I need 2 barbecue grills, one for just my family and one for big parties. 'Cause I'm always having huge parties. You know what I mean? Anyway, in Europe, like your backyard, like you didn't hear people mowing their lawn constantly. Their backyard was like the size of my living room, and a lot of times they had these little push mowers. They didn't need to like. I think in the summertime in my neighborhood, pretty much anywhere from 8 in the morning to late in the evening, if you listen, you can hear a 2-stroke engine chewing away at someone's fucking lawn. Any time of the summer. Over there, and you just don't hear it. It's one of those sounds that doesn't exist because they don't have these huge backyards attached to these huge houses. So what does that mean? It means that people are more apt to go and socialize in a public area. So you'd say, hey, let's go on a hike. Hey, let's go meet at this bistro. Let's go walk around. Let's take the train up here. Let's go to the park and play. Let's do something together. And this is like a really crazy idea, but what if our backyard was everything around us? What if our backyard was that mountain over there, and we could just go walk up that today? You saw so much more activity in Europe out and about. I remember me and my friend Ryan Henry, we walked up. It's a small mountain. It's about an hour and a half to the top, and coming from fucking Illinois, it's a goddamn big mountain. Being in the Alps, it's not so much, but here we are. It's early morning. We're walking up this thing. It's it's kind of planned out. I was it was a big accomplishment for me to walk up this mountain. Then you get to the top, and I shit you not, after some of these crazy turnbacks, after some of these places that kind of, put butterflies in my stomach to look back down, some dude that was probably about 52 years old jogged by us and waved and said good morning. You know, I mean, that's the shit right there. And then so it was a Sunday morning, and on the way down there was like whole families just walking up this mountain casually and leisurely, and like, hey, what do you guys want to do today? I don't know. Let's get out of the house and go walk up this mountain. It's really nice today. Let's go do something, you know. And so that's a big difference, you know, people making eye contact and saying hello to you. And that's nice, you know. I mean, I when I'm in New York, there's a little corner market by Invisible on Orchard. And one of the things I do that I think is funny is I like to say hello to everyone and talk to them about what they're buying, you know, sometimes. And talk about the ultimate don't fucking talk to me place, you know. I remember one night, you know, you get off late, and it's like 1 a.m, and I'm going by to get some water and stuff for the train home. And there's a lady in her 20s, and she's got a whole fucking gallon of ice cream, you know. And I just made a conversation with her, and man, you would have thought I was asking her about something ultra personal, like how much she weighs or how old she is or something. And she's like, I'm just buying ice cream from my boyfriend. Just leave me alone. And it was just like, geez, okay, man, all right, whatever. But yeah, it's just that type of shit, you know, like being in an elevator in New York and being like, so how's it going, guys? Man, great day today, huh? Like, see what happens. People look at you like, who the fuck are you? The only thing that's going to happen when you talk to people in New York in an elevator is you're going to bond everyone together that isn't you. So if there's like 4 people in the elevator and you walk in and you say, how's it going, guys? They'll all look at each other like, can you believe this fucking asshole talking to us? And they'll have this like kind of inside joke or whatever for them, you know? So yes, Europe, not so much. I mean, of course, all the big cities, you're going to get stuff like that. When you're in Vienna, you know, you get a little bit more of the whiny, nasally Viennese, you know, types. But here is what's fucking cool about this last trip is I actually have been taking formal High German classes. I have a tutor. She's awesome. And I don't know, I've been studying for about 5 or 6 months now. I mean, not just like bullshit, you know, German like I knew before, like, hey, where's the bathroom? What time is it? I mean, being able to figure out sentence structure and try to get my thoughts out. And what I noticed this time was even in some of the more whiny and nasally places, if I made an attempt to speak German and just make comments and compliment somebody, they were more open to talk to me. And then they were also more open to talk to me about other things, even if it was in English. So yeah, here we go. I'm almost done with my drawing now. So yeah, I guess me trying to be less American and learn. Here, I'm going to save it. Learn more about myself. There it is. That's it. But anyway, that's an 11-minute rant. I'm going to erase this. Go to my webpage, make an appointment, come say hi, stop at the shop, grab some coffee.